around a table with our stunt coordinator and our all of our fight coordinator, all these people, that like he would just be knocked out and be unconscious for the whole movie and then die. And so we were like, okay, let's transfer some of those head hits to like body hits and so we did a pass of doing that to make it a little bit more realistic, even though it's still pretty intense, pretty elevated.
But I mean, I think that's like, I like that you did draw a line. Like you did draw a line somewhere. So that it wasn't just completely insane, but still was bonkers.
Exactly. We were like, how far can we push it without people being like, this is bullshit that he's alive? You know what I mean? Like, it's so, and to us, that was basically like kind of the neck down rule, where we figured we could, we could get away with damaging his lower body as long as we weren't like giving too many hits to the cranium. Because again, like Dan said, when we were breaking it down before, our stunt coordinator, Stanimir Stamatov, would be like, he'd be like, he would be dead. No, he would die if he suffered. and so,
that's a very good thing. I've never seen you do that before. That was really good. Fuck.
But yeah, so we were just like trying to, because you want to have as much fun as you can.
Absolutely.
Too. Like I'm sure that like there will be somebody out there who's like, actually you would have an infection from the. It's like okay, we're trying to push it as far as we can without being like annoying. Because if you just have him, like he can't get shot in the heart or something. You know what I mean? Like you have to have limits there. So we just tried to push it as far as we could without like breaking it.
Yeah, and I do think it's like, I mean, like part of me watching it is like, there's not so much blood loss, like, because I think that's one of the things where as a viewer I would be like, okay, this is a lot of blood.
Well, we always try to like patch him up whenever there is something like that. Like the arrows through the legs, like you're starting the next scene off, he's getting them wrapped up. After the big, first fight in the kitchen, he's getting patched up at Earl's. So we just felt like there had to be, if there were enough times where we're doing that, you're not gonna piss off as many audience members, you know what I mean? Like because again, the fun of the movie is that he's a real guy, and there's like a relatability to it when you're watching him in these fight scenes, like not knowing how to fight. It's just like, that's what I would be like in a fight scene, you know? And so you don't want to break that relatability by being like, this guy just lost like 5 pints of blood and he's fine, and so that's why he has to use the EpiPen, because he's feeling woozy because of the blood loss he does have. And then by the time there really is the craziest injury in the movie with the arm snap at the end, like he is almost dead. He passes out, and the next thing you know, he's in the hospital in a full body cast. So we felt like that was like the best we could do in that regard.
No, absolutely. And like thinking about, the stunt work that you're doing and how, obviously the normal acting reaction is like, this hurts, ow, like, I took a punch, like, fuck.
That's how I do it every time. You usually go, this hurts, ow. Yeah, it was good.
So thank you guys. Castmate, no. How hard was that for you, like, to readjust and like retrain your brain to be like, this doesn't hurt, I don't feel it.
Yeah, it was a lot of unlearning, because I remember, I've done a few stunt sequences in my day, and the thing that when you're kind of a novice at that, they really try to tell you like you need to sell the pain. When you get hurt, you just react like a human would and really be like, oh, like really sell that. And then it was just about like not reacting in a weird way. I know that, Stanimir is, by the way, Bobby's doing incredible voices tonight. This is, well done.
Are you gonna try?
No, he would not do that. No. Not as good. It's not as good as Bobby's. It's not. No, that was Russian. That was for sure Russian. No, but it was cool that they created these sequences where, I think what you guys have said that you're trying to go for with this movie is something out of like the 80s, early 90s, where it's like a character-based action film. So, we like the action, but we also like the character. We root for them to succeed. And so I love that we built every single sequence that Nate has around who he is, like how would he fight, and his condition, how would that affect him. And that was the craziest thing, was my head would move if I got punched in the face, but I just can't wince. And there was a lot of visually checking my body to see if I was okay. because that's his only way of knowing.
Yeah, you're like, is there an arrow in my leg? Oh,
Exactly.
great,
Oh,
there is.
oh my God, there
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
And what the craziest thing though is that now it's ruined me for other fight scenes. Like I was shooting a scene for the boys last week, and I get punched in the face, and I remember somebody. Thank you, one guy. I love you.
Yeah.
Well, several others after. No, you had your chance. No, but I remember I got punched in the face, and I remember our stunt choreographer was like, "Hey man, remember you can feel pain. Like it's become ingrained in me. It really has."
You're like, no, I can't. No, I can't.
I'm still Novocaine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of the boys, like fellow fans,
Woo!
you know, a lot of gnarly violence happens on that show. And I would think you would be like totally desensitized after all that,
Yeah.
but then this movie.
As did I. I
Yeah.
also thought I'd be like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, you're like, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal at all. Then the fingernails came into it. That's what got me. And like, I'm wearing a fake thing on my fingers. Like, it's a prosthetic that I've seen applied to me time and time again. I've gone through all the makeup tests, but still in that moment, I was like, oh no. And I had to stifle that. Don't react. It was a whole thing.
The fingernails is the one beat in the movie that still makes Bobby and I cringe, even though we've seen this movie literally 350 times probably. And it's because when we were doing the sound design, our sound team used the sound of Velcro
Nope.
ripping.
Oh!
And for some reason, knowing that makes it more
Nope.
like awful to witness. But yeah, it really still gets
Well,
us.
and you know, I think it's like that. Even though you can't feel it, you're looking at it, and so your brain is like, this should hurt. It's like that thing where, you know, there's like an experiment that they do where they put like a fake arm on a table that you sit next to, and they hit it with a hammer, and most people go like, ow, you know, like, no, it's not your hand.
Yeah.
And so it's just, like your brain wants it to be real, you know, it's fucked up.
What is this experiment? Okay, I'm gonna look at
I
it.
like saw that once, and then I
It's
said
really
it like it
fucked
was
up.
like definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Is this
Real-
an
a real
experiment you
scientist?
conducted?
Did a real scientist? Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. That's fine. That's fine. I do want to
I
talk.
told there be no fact checking.
Oh, okay. I do want to talk about the hand because it's so gross. And I mean, also I want to like just talk in general about the effects and like the practical effects. Like they're so awesome and disgusting.
Sure.
Can you
Yeah.
guys speak to all of that?
Oh yeah. Okay. So first, a big shout out to Clinton, who was our special effects makeup supervisor, and he was just like unbelievable. He kind of like
Yeah.
we would go in and have these meetings where he would walk us through the different wounds and stuff. And he was a really interesting guy, and he would just like. He pulled up so many like pictures of injuries, and he would just be like, "So this one here is a compound fracture from after a car crash. You can see the young woman here; she's bleeding on the ground. Her arms snapped." I'm like, "Thank you. You can make the prosthetic. You have our blessing."
Bobby, why aren't you a voice actor?
Very good.
Are you coming for my job?
The hand thing though was like that's the nastiest one because it's like a glove that he had to put on every day, and so like it was just sweaty, nasty. It doesn't breathe, you know. Like it was just this nasty little meat min.
Nasty little meat man. That's like a cool nickname.
Yeah, that's Bobby's username.
Oh.
It was actually a bigger, even nastier version of the glove first, and we were screen testing it, and Jack wore it for like 30 minutes, and he was like, I can't do this. It's heavy and it's hot.
And we did way too
And
much.
so we made a much thinner version of the glove for him, but it could have been even grosser, so you're lucky.
Am I? Okay.
I will also say I think it was the size of it. I couldn't actually grip anything. Like essentially every day I lost the use of my right hand because I can't like manipulate objects with that thing on me. After a while, I just started thinking of it as like I thought a lot about Hellboy, and now he has that one like, rock hand. I'm like, that's Nate's like rock hand. That's how I like to think of it. And you know, I have to shout out Clinton because that was the first thing I ever did for this movie was I got scanned like my face and body, and then they sent all those scans to South Africa where we shot it, where Clinton was, and the first thing I saw coming into Cape Town was this green bust of my face that's bald. and it was just a thing that they could like apply all of these injuries to. But it's like a very realistic version of my face, just like completely like hairless and green. It was so very strange. But yeah, a lot of fittings, a lot of all the different various wounds applied to me. I got really into I watched like the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy in the chair while they were, it was like hours every day, but they did such an incredible job, and I love that most of that is practical. It's so cool.
No, it looks fantastic. No, it looks great.
Also, speaking of the practical makeup stuff, the tattoos.
Oh my God.
The whole thing, and he had to be in the chair for so long, just standing absolutely still while they applied this like 15-piece tattoo. It's a lot. But, you know, luckily he didn't have to do the full Monty on too many days. It was only like 4 days.
That was my first day.
Yes.
It was like my first day was full Monty.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Hey, of course, anytime.
Was there like more of a like the tattoos seem to have like a backstory? I mean, it's you kind of get the gist in the film, but like, was there more to it that you guys just
I mean, we as far like the actual content of the tattoos, I mean, we wanted to like tell a vague story that's sort of, you know, in a weird way that you'd never notice, aligned with the story of the film. So it's like this little knight and there's a princess, and like the knight like looks away and the princess gets taken by this like evil wizard, and then basically the knight is sort of like pursuing, you know, the princess or whatever. So it's obviously Nate pursuing Sherry, and then at the very end, obviously, instead of him just like saving her, he's kind of about to get eaten by the dragon on the tower. Yeah, so you know, so that's all there. If you pause the movie, you can see it all, but you'd never see it in motion, really.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you know, their relationship, like, I think is so well done, and you need that because you want them to end up together, and you need that for like the stakes of the film, and it's like, I think it's like very effective. Like you really do believe that they have something going, even before you know that she's in on it.
Don't spoil it. Yeah, I mean, Amber's incredible. Amber is
absolutely.
so great. She
yeah.
is such an incredible actress and such an incredible person, you know, and I think that was something, like, this set was so fun, you know, because everybody was like cool. On a movie set, like, sometimes there's like an asshole, and sometimes that person is like high up in the movie, a big producer, a big actor, and it all just trickles down and everything's tense because like there's this asshole over there. But like, this was like, everybody was cool, and we just like, so we kept,
nice.
we were all like hanging out, like going to the movies, like 30 deep on the, like, whoever from the crew wanted to come, we just like go to the movies on the weekend. Like, it was such a blast, and that was all Jack and Amber's leadership, you know, in their department. And yeah, it was just great because, you know, I think Amber, I've seen a few people online say something like, you know, like, oh, this seems like a waste of Amber Midthunder because she's just like the damsel in distress. I'm like, you wait. You wait. It's gonna get you.
You just wait.
But yeah, so yeah, it was, and just like their chemistry and how like different their vibes are, yet complementary. You know, like we got really lucky because we fell in love with Amber watching Prey, which we got to see in the DJ theater on a big screen.
Give it up for Prey, by the way.
And so yeah, it was like a dream of ours to pair those two, and so it wound up coming true.
Can I speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. No, I freaked out when you guys texted me. You guys texted me all caps. We got Amber Midthunder, just like all the exclamation points. It was unbelievable. But you guys were so great. We had a lot of rehearsals, mostly for those scenes, because the first third of the movie is essentially a rom-com.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of rehearsals for those scenes, and they were so pivotal in like helping me understand not only this relationship, but my character, and I'm sure Amber would say the same for hers. And I remember this is one of those movies that I usually create like a music playlist to get into character, and I did that on this one for sure. But this one was the first time I really like looked at other movies to kind of get a similar vibe. And one of the big ones was you guys recommended was True Romance, in the sense that it's these two characters falling in love very, very quickly and very passionately. And then the other one I watched, rewatched, was Before Sunrise.
Sure.
And then pair that with like Lethal Weapon and Die Hard and all that stuff.
This isn't as gory as Before Sunrise.
Yeah, not
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
That death scene. Woo.
Everybody's fingernails
Let
getting
me
ripped
start.
off
Let
Before
me start.
Sunrise. But yeah, no, those were. It was such a jarring thing because we were shooting this rom-com. We were shooting that kind of in sequence, and we're shooting this rom-com essentially for like 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, like the movie just bank robbery. Let's fucking go! Like it was just such a hard shift. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Please.
Speaking of Jack's playlist that he put together,
Yes.
this was an interesting thing. A first,
Oh, yeah.
A first for us. So one of the songs on Jack's playlist that he was listening to the whole time through prep was Power Lines by Telekinesis, which is the song that ends the movie. And he just like one day on set was like listening
While we were
to
shooting
it.
that scene.
Yeah, while we were
that
shooting that
scene.
scene, he was like, guys, I love this song. I want you to hear it. And we both fell in love with it. And like we just asked our music supervisor if we could get it, and we licensed it like 2 days later. It was great. So that was Jack's idea.
That was just such a dream come true. I freaked out for the whole day because I was like, this never happens. We just got the song. That's crazy. It was just, and it's like it plays out. It literally like the way I was dreaming it would.
Yeah.
Like that moment, I'm like, oh my god, this never happens.
Yeah,
Like,
it was-
no, thank you for both being like.
Stars aligned.
They both were just listening to it. They're like, okay, yeah, can we get this? Can we just write
You're like, oh, you can just like do that? Oh,
Yeah.
So obvious.
Oh, you can
It's,
just do
it
that.
was
so hard.
Oh yeah. It was like, I don't want to like, we're not like, we're a charity. Like we're not like, you know, if you suggested like Baby Shark, we wouldn't have done it. But, like, it was a perfect song.
It works.
You know,
I
it
can
was
see
a
it
great
working.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
But it
see
works.
I can see it.
You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before Baby Shark.
I do want to ask before we have to go. You mentioned a tooth story, and I was like, oh, now I have to hear it.
Oh yeah, no, it's just one of the things that, and I get why it was ultimately cut from the movie. But there, when you said like, was there anything cut that you really wanted in there? I'm like, there was one thing that we did shoot at one point in that final fight with me and Ray. He has me on the ground, and he's already knocked out one of my teeth in the fight, and we had a whole thing where I purposefully spit my now loose tooth into his eye. Like with
Cool.
a jacket bit. Like, wow. And I was like, I get why it was cut. You were saying like it for a moment it felt like there was two invincible beings.
Yeah, that was the whole climax was a real exercise in like Kill Your Darlings. There were several beats like that worked really well. Like the stunts were well executed, the effects looked good, but when we test screened the movie, a bunch of people were like, they're fighting for too long and fucking each other up too much, and it feels like they are invincible. And that obviously kind of like cut into the core of you being this regular guy who could die if you were hurt too much. And he's like this ex-military, like special forces baddie, and it's like, are you really gonna be able to last like 10 plus minutes in a fight with that dude?
I totally get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we decided to just skip those.
Yeah, I got power
Well, it
lines.
also, like, yeah. Well, it's just like, I think too, not just the invincibility thing, but the length of it. Like,
Yeah.
we had all these awesome things, you know, we'll shoot them all. But then when you put it together, the fight was a little bit like the fight scene in They Live, or whatever, it just keeps going, and keeps going, and keeps going. You're like, wow, we're still kicking, huh? Wow. You know, and so yeah, it was tough to cut it down, but it's a lot better like this.
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Totally.
Like you said, you still have a line that you're trying to be realistic, and
Yeah.
you were still walking that line. Well, I think we're out of time, which makes me sad. I really enjoyed. I'm so glad you guys came. Thank you guys for coming.
being here.
Yeah! Woo, woo.
Please spread the word about Novocaine.
Yeah, post, do whatever if you like the movie.